Hey, what's up, everybody? True Boxing here. Thank you for coming back to get hit with the truth. So today we're doing the what's next on former IBF middleweight champion of the world, Vicente Gualtieri, following his first pro defeat and loss of the IBF title by 6th round TKO to Janibek Alimkhanuly as he attempted to unify belts against Janibek on October 14th on ESPN. Now, before we get into that, if you could smash the like button, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. I really do appreciate any and all support that I can get as I continue to build my channel here. I'm about 579, 580 subscribers in. My goal is to get to 600 by the end of the year. Help me out. We should be able to do it. I appreciate everybody's support. Back to Gualtieri. He really was non-competitive. He tried. He landed shots here and there. He was trying to counterpunch and set Janibek up, but Janibek just such a grinder, just comes straight at you, and he was not going to be denied or fooled in this fight. He absolutely dominated Gualtieri, and Gualtieri now has lost his world title and is no longer the champ. So it was a short-lived reign. He only lasted, 3 months and some change, following his victory over Falcao. Gonna have to start over again. So let's see what possibly could happen for the former champ. We start with number 1, Triple G Gennady Golovkin, the former 2-time unified champion. Triple G has pretty much made it clear that if he returns, it's probably going to be at 168. He gave up both his middleweight titles. He was the number 1 contender in the WBO. He's no longer the number 1 contender in the WBO. I think if Triple G returns, it's going to be at super middleweight. Gualtieri could be a potential option to shake off some rust, but I think Triple G is probably going to go for just bigger names, bigger fights. But I wouldn't be surprised if a guy like Gualtieri was thrown in there, but not after the way he just lost, so I don't think so. I think Triple G would take on a guy not coming off such a one-sided loss. Carlos Adames, the WBC interim champion. Not likely. This would be the PBC, PBC working the fight. Adames is a good, solid, interim champion right now. But I don't think I don't think they would set up a fight with him and Gualtieri. Gualtieri's style is a little awkward, and Adames would have to look better or just as good as Janibek, and I don't think they would set him up that way, especially when between 154 and 160, the PBC can provide solid competition to Adames, so I don't see it. Then there's a rematch with Janibek. Not going to happen. No need for it. Janibek dominated the fight. Then there's Liam Smith, the former junior middleweight champ. I think Liam Smith kind of upped his stock, even though he lost his last fight. He upped his stock overall with his victory over, with his recent, victory over Chris Eubank Jr. He does have a name. I don't think Liam Smith would want this fight. I think he would kind of shy away from it. And I don't think he would take it. So I'm going to say no to this one. Then there's Erislandy Lara, the WBA champion. Not going to happen. Lara is fighting Danny Garcia in December. And then he would be fighting, if he's victorious, he'll fight Michael Zarafa, his mandatory number 1 contender. He'd fight him next year. And I just don't think Lara would entertain a fight with a guy like Gualtieri anyways. Chris Eubank Jr. Eubank would not take the fight. Eubank's not even going to take on Janibek, who beat Gualtieri and unified 2 belts. Eubank is not interested in guys like this, and especially Eubank would really be highly criticized if he took on Gualtieri instead of Janibek next, and especially if he didn't look as good as Janibek did. So that would go a long way. So Eubank's not going to fight Gualtieri. Then there's a rematch with Esquiva Falcao. Wouldn't mind seeing it. Don't think it's going to happen next. I think Falcao probably definitely wants a rematch. I think Gualtieri might go for it at some point, but I don't think it's going to be next. And then you have Felix Cash, undefeated, contender on the rise. He might look at this fight as a potential stepping stone, building block. But Gualtieri is a threat too, and a threat that he doesn't have to take. So I think Felix Cash probably wouldn't be interested in a fight like that, but you never know. And then finally, you got former world title challenger Liam Williams. Liam Williams will fight anybody, anywhere, anytime, in my opinion. He's just at that stage, and he's not so full of himself that he won't take on an opponent like that. But you know, it's just I don't think he would take this fight. That's what I'm going to say. I don't think he would take this fight with him. So I'm going to say no to that one. So you know, it's kind of up in the air. It really is on Gualtieri. I personally think he's probably going to fade into the background and not fight big name fighters for a while. I really believe that. I think he's probably just gonna fade, and he's just gonna build up, is what he's gonna do, while he's kind of staying quiet, because he is a fighter from overseas. He's not a big name fighter. So that's what I believe he does, because he's just not going to be able to get those big time fights, especially with the way he looked against Janibek. You know, he didn't look like he was overly trying to win the fight, if that makes sense. You know, he just looked like he was kind of in there for a while. After he felt Janibek's real power, maybe those last 3 rounds, he just kind of looked like he was in survival mode. And when you go into survival mode and you don't really do much, that's when guys are really going to expose you. And that's what happened. You know, he got exposed, and he lost the fight. And there really isn't much else to say outside of that. I do respect him a lot for the way he defeated Falcao. But right now, he's not going to get any kind of major fight, in my opinion. But it's the long road back to try to become a world champion again. He's gonna really have to earn it. But the fact that he was a former world champion does make him attractive to fighters, and I think that's gonna go maybe not a super long way, but it's gonna go a ways to getting him back to championship contention. So we'll see what happens, but that's it. That's what I got. That's my what's next on Vicente Gualtieri, the now former IBF middleweight champion of the world, following his 6th round TKO loss to Janibek Alimkhanuly on October 14th in the main event of an ESPN card. So, hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, smash the like button, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. I appreciate any and all support. This is True Boxing. You've been hit with the truth.